Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for the presentation and all the work that went into getting us to where we are today. I think, and I want to thank you for the extensive stakeholder meetings. I think that was very important. This board asked that of you in the October motion. And the fact that at that point, city agencies, residents, policy organizations were all included. And, we've got a number of examples of how suggestions that came about through those stakeholder meetings have actually informed this ordinance. So that's very helpful, as well as the lived experience of some of our fellow municipalities and counties who have already implemented. So we are learning from their example, and I think that's a great thing. Um, I think it's also important to recognize really the from my perspective, the win-win for the county implementing this. And it really is going to help us better regulate our sidewalk vendors, which we hear a lot about from municipalities and constituents, as well as from micro-entrepreneurs. So this will allow them to operate safely and minimize disruption to brick and mortar businesses and other community stakeholders. So I think it's important to think about the win-win element. It also really provides economic opportunity and wealth building pathways for many communities that have really been excluded from the formal economy. I think it's important to note that a survey conducted by Cook Alliance found that home cooks in the sector of the informal food economy are 84% women, 48% Black, Latinx, or multiracial, 30% first generation immigrants, and 36% of households had incomes under $45,000 annually. So this is a way to support and expand micro business, and it's really an equitable economic development action. So I'm really excited about that. At our May 21st board meeting, I plan to bring forward a motion that will implement a subsidy to partially cover the cost of MEHKO permit fees. Other counties have taken this approach, and this follows the approach this board took in adopting the permitting structure for the compact mobile food operators earlier this year. So we want to make sure that this program is actually accessible for those entrepreneurs it's intended to support, and again, that it's equitably implemented. So I look forward to continuing work on this ordinance, bringing that motion forward, as well as the quarterly status reports on the program. I think that is important for us to monitor its, what I hope will be its success. One quick question, if I can, Madam Chair. Um, as we talk about our sidewalk vendors, if you could talk a little bit about how the MEHKO ordinance could help the county more quickly permit sidewalk vendors.
Thank you, Supervisor. So as folks may know and remember, our sidewalk vending ordinance we passed earlier this year and will be live in August of this year. So this timing dovetails nicely as we are ramping up our marketing, our outreach and engagement, and our technical assistance to sidewalk vendors in the unincorporated areas to get ready for registration this August, and we will also be integrating the pathways for MEHKOs as well as the compact mobile food operator subsidy and potentially MEHKO subsidy. There's an opportunity for us to not only get folks ready for their registration, but also understand pathways to compliance through cart access and MEHKO's operations. So really helping folks see a number of different pathways to running their business in compliance with the county. And we're excited that this expands opportunities for them. So I wanted to add that piece.
Yeah, I think the other really, big opportunity here is that a MEHKO could support up to 2 food carts and serve as a commissary. And the commissary fees are high for the food carts. So in a way, this is a way to have, really a lot more control over the operations. They're still on a relatively small scale, but you can actually use your own home kitchen as your commissary to supply the food for a much lower fee. So I do think there's an incentive there. We're short commissary space overall, so it's also, I think, an incentive for for us across the county to have, sort of a safe, regulated environment in which the food is being prepared without having these very large commissaries.
Thank you. And just finally, as I'm thinking about Supervisor Han's comments, I know the original motion directed DPH to report back to us quarterly. I don't know if that gets to your issue around, yeah, around hearing the complaints from the cities. So if that could dovetail into the original, that I think it would
Oh, yeah,
cover.
yeah. We're,
And so,
we're fine with.
perfect, perfect. And so how can cities still use their local tools to respond to any potential complaints around MEHKOs? What are cities empowered to do now?
So cities can have their own zoning requirements related to parking and other things that are still in effect. And that's why operators need to check what the local requirements are for that. And as Dr. Ferrer said, I think there is going to be some learning curve here on fielding those complaints that come in, on whose jurisdiction is and how we can work together to make sure that those are addressed appropriately. And I think we'll learn through that, and we're happy to report back on what we're seeing with that in those quarterly reports.
Thank you.